Okay. Are you on this one too?
Unbundled, Your
I
Honor.
just got on it.
Good afternoon. This is case D-552-831, Macias versus Theory, set today for countercall. Return from FMC. Counsel, kindly your appearance for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alex Ubato, bar number 10592, behalf of plaintiff.
Good afternoon and welcome. And Anthony, you are defendant father representing yourself, correct?
Yes.
Welcome. There was a parenting agreement. I did sign it. The parties did sign it, but it looks like mom's not going to relocate, correct?
No, I am relocating.
The way that this parenting agreement reads is 1 week mom's going to have 48 days, the following week dad's going to have 4 days. How are you going to do this? What will be how are you going to get back and forth?
Your Honor, I don't think the parenting agreement is even relevant at this point. If there's some facts that have come up since that you're probably going to hear from the defendant. Maybe you should let him go first.
Well, let me have them both remain standing. Raise your right hand. Madam Clerk, please swear them in. They signed this July 12th. Right.
You will each be to solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I do want to give these back to Mom and strike them. Mom filed a pile of exhibits August 28th, and can you give these back to her? I did not look at any of them.
For the record, she intends them to be used as trial exhibits, Your Honor.
Pardon?
She intended them to be used as trial exhibits.
I know. I figured that, but I didn't
advise
know.
her to disclose
I
it
saw
to
this parenting plan too, and then I thought, well, I'm not sure what's going on, but we've got to propose them and put them in binders, and I explained to them about binders, so I didn't know what was happening.
I'll advise her.
All right. Did you want to speak to the court, Dad?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. You can be seated while you speak if you like.
Okay. So in July, we came to a parenting agreement using Rashawn Kennedy, where we'd go 4 days, 3 days on, and rotate weeks, assuming that we're both staying in Vegas. This was a secondary agreement because actually in late June, we made an agreement to try to work things out and agree to live together and work on a relationship. When we made that agreement, the first one that we agreed to was to try to be together. If that didn't work, then we would agree to the 4 days and 3 days. However, after we signed the agreement and everything, a few weeks later, maybe a week later, actually because it was July 19th, and as you said, we signed July 12th, so a week later, there was an altercation that resulted in Amanda being arrested with a domestic battery charge. I have the police report if you want it, but...
Object to its introduction, Your Honor.
Object to what?
Its introduction, if you intend to introduce it, I would object to it, Your Honor, to your side.
Okay, well, is there...
I mean, I can tell you right away what's going on, Your Honor, if you wish.
Well, let him tell me his story, and then you can tell me your side of it. Go ahead.
So she was arrested on the domestic violence, and then a few days later she was released and she came to the house, and I told her I no longer wanted her living with me. We need to go back to the 4 days with 3 days rotation that we agreed to in mediation. Otherwise, if she wanted to continue living with me, she would have to agree to sign over custody of the child. And from that point forward, to protect myself from her uncontrolled actions, by my view, I told her, once again, you can live with me if you agree to sign over the child. If not, go somewhere and we can go upon our regular agreement. She says she agreed to that. She was living with me for a few days, but I told her we need to, speak to the mediation about this new agreement that we're coming to if you're going to continue living with me. She said she would. A few days later, like I said, she attempted to take the Destiny from my mother's home. So at that point, I told her, what are you doing? If you're going to leave, this would be according to our schedule, which I pulled out and tried to verify with her. This would be the last day of my agreement. Should you be leaving, I'll bring the baby to you, or you can pick her up tomorrow morning. She refused. I contacted the police with the, assuming that our court order documents would verify, what we discussed and agreed to. Police said that since there was no, I believe the term they used was race stamp court document, that pretty much whoever had possession of the child at that moment would be legally entitled to walk away with them. And she was holding the baby because at that point I had no reason to try to fight with her over the custody. I was going to let the police solve the issue.
What day was that?
This was I want to say the 22nd of July. I think, heck, it was 22nd. I don't think I have it listed here as far as what day she came with the baby or the police. I don't have the printout of the contact, but because the police made no arrests or anything, they just allowed her to leave with the baby. And at that point, I tried to contact Rashawn again. She pretty much verified to me that anything that we agreed to, either in court or through the mediator, pretty much was moot if she chose not to go through with it. I was under the impression that, you know, the mediation was the conduit for the judge herself, and everything that we were doing there was somewhat legally binding. But at that point, she took the baby, and from there, I've been trying to see the baby. We've done video chats, but it hasn't been working properly, either through signal issues or just through communication problems, because she's still a small child. And I've tried to pick the baby up. She's refused to provide me with an address, a contact, any type of information regarding the child. I haven't seen her or the child, her today. First time I've seen her since July 22nd. And every time I attempt to get a pickup, for example, she called me one day, said I could pick up the baby. I said, what time? 4 hours later, she contacts me and says, okay, I'm ready for you to pick up the baby. I couldn't. I was in the middle of...
What day was that?
I can check my phone for my text message.
It's okay. Just keep telling me the story.
But, and I was like, I would like to see the baby. She said, okay. 4 hours later, she hits me up, says, meet me right here, right now. I said, I can't. I'm in the middle of doing something. You got to give me more notice than that. But you can take her to my brother's house. She was, you don't have time for me and the baby, as she does anytime she gets an answer she doesn't like from me. So, and then I've been asking consistently, can I see the baby? I don't care about what you're doing. Just give me an address to pick her up, or you can drop her off anytime. She's constantly refusing, making excuses, or saying something like, you can't see the baby because you have those girls around, or something in reference to females consistently as an excuse not to bring
You
the
had
baby.
an order. You had a temporary order. You had a week, a month.
I can't get a pickup address or drop off. I can't get the week. The police told me technically the order means nothing, so they can't enforce it, and she's unwilling to go through and follow through with anything stated in the parenting agreement. Once again, I haven't seen or heard other than the 2 video chats that we had, and that's the only time I've seen the baby, even with the week proposed. She's missed, her sister's events, her cousin's events, my birthday. I didn't get to see her for her birthday. We had plans. Every time I contact her, could I please see the baby? She tells me we have plans. I try telling her I have plans too. She's also my child.
If he's going to testify, could I cross-examine him? Want to put him on the stand? Are we going to have a trial? Or
He's just telling me his side of it. Anything else, Dad?
No.
Okay, Alex.
Your Honor, so this is a history of violence here. Obviously, I have here in my hands a police report that was taken, dated June of last year. It was a domestic violence against my client from him. That's one. We have here a 2017 case where he apparently beat 3 people up, which I understand are his neighbors. And then we have some other, can't tell what they are, but there's 2 arrests out of Compton or Palmdale. Yeah, Compton and Palmdale out of California. Violence related, I'm assuming, unless he has a different story about that. She was arrested. I'm not going to go into the facts about it. I can't go into the facts about it, obviously, because she has a 5th Amendment right not to incriminate herself. If we speak of the details of the facts, it could be used against her in a criminal court. Suffice it to say that he's not injured. Manufactured and fabricated a story in order to game the system. The agreement that you have before you is predicated on them staying together. It was clearly a means and method of controlling her, keeping her here, keeping the kid here. I think this case needs to get kicked out. Trial definitely needs to get kicked way out. I think trial in North Las Vegas set for February 12th. I was talking to her about it. It sounds like there's some pretty serious issues related to violation of her rights, and the way that they got a confession out of her. She was in cuffs, was not Mirandized, and they had her tell her story. So I would anticipate that she's going to be acquitted on that case. Given the history of violence here, the fact that he has a domestic violence record, he beat 3 people up just this year, where he's got a Muni court case in Las Vegas pending. He's got arrests in Compton. I suggest the order's not changed, that she remain the primary custodian. Trial get kicked out. If I can work something out with her, and I'll try to work something out with her, I'll stay on the case. We'll handle it.
Does she still want to relocate?
She does want to relocate, Your Honor. She has no intention of staying here with him.
Is she living in Texas now?
I'll stand up and address the court. Don't say anything about what happened out there.
I'm still here until until this whole case is cleared.
Is your intention to move to live in Texas?
Yes.
Okay, so I need a temporary order, though. I mean, he needs to have some time with the child. At the time that I last saw them, I talked a lot about the difficulty with a young baby toddler and relocating and maintaining the bond, and I let him have a week, a month, and they haven't followed that. So what I'd like to see is something where, he can have a couple days a week.
I think that under the circumstances, Your Honor, and given the fact there is a demonstrated history of violence on his part, and there's a pending DV case, I would say that the least amount of contact possible is appropriate. My client should maintain primary custody pending trial. Sure, he should have time with his child. It should be limited. Probably should be supervised until we sort this out. So obviously, my concern, if you beat 3 people up that are apparently your neighbors, that's a level of hostility that's frightening. He's got a DV against her, and now apparently he called the cops on her. If you look at the 2 of them, I think it's ridiculous that she would harm him physically. I think it's silly, and I've done so much criminal, I see it happen all the time. It happens. But the idea that she hit him, that she harmed him in any way, is pathetic. It's sorry. I don't buy it. It's not gonna fly, I promise you.
Well, she left the child with him for a week the last time we were in court, and I'm considering, a couple days a week, like one overnight, I don't think is going to be. It's not like he's hurt children in the past. Does she know of him hurting?
I think that's appropriate, Your Honor. As long as she maintains primary custody pending trial.
I just feel that he needs to maintain the bond with the child, and at the same time, if she's not going to be going to Texas, I don't want to have the week, her with 3 weeks and him with 1 week. That was just to accommodate the geographic challenge.
Obviously, she has to stay here now. She's got to stand trial in North Las Vegas Municipal Court, so she's going to be here.
So we need to do it in March.
Probably later.
What, the trial?
Yeah.
March.
Are you still here with me?
No, I've already.
Probably April, Your Honor, because once you get a judgment of conviction, then you got to make disclosures, give time to object.
Okay. We'll do late March or April. Yes, Dad.
I have a few things that I want to address.
Respond?
Yeah, speak to you definitely. First thing that she also had she had a previous domestic violence that is concerning to me, and I want to request physical custody of the child until the trial effective immediately for multiple reasons.
Obviously, his intent when he called the police on a small woman that he says claims beat him and hurt him.
I want to speak to the male being a victim of a domestic violence. The fact that he's speaking so ignorantly towards that is offensive to me. As a man who would never, and under any circumstances, lift my hand to a woman, I can still be the victim of domestic violence for a woman attacking me consistently. The claim was never that I was hurt. The claim was that I was attacked consistently, grabbed and prevented from moving myself from the location because of her actions. Had I exerted force back to her, of course I could have got myself out of the situation. But that's not what I do. I would never need to do that. I'm not claiming harm. I'm claiming that I was attacked. The result should not have any impact on whether or not I have the scar level that I'm dealing with. And it was multiple behaviors. And if I can cite the police report, her inconsistencies are detailed in the police reports. And the first one...
Check to that, Your Honor. It's hearsay. And again, that's the police officer that wrote that statement is not here. That his testimony would be recorded is just unlawful. I would just object to it.
No problem. I don't even need to cite that. But even going to the first police report where she was arrested for the domestic violence, the reason why that one escalated to the point that it did escalate to is because she involved my child from a separate relationship. And in the second incident, which is not in the police report, which was concerning to me, but the reason why that one escalated to me calling the police is because she attempted to remove my TV from its stand while our child that we share, Destiny, was in the living room, potentially putting her in danger. It's a very large TV, 73 inches. So that being thrown off its stand, hitting a child in a high chair could have potentially caused decay. Something else could have broke, shattered glass. any potential outcome due to her inability to control herself in that situation. Both of her arrests involve potential child endangerment.
Your Honor, this is so petty. This is something we see every day in these courts. People try to play these gotcha games, invoking the entire machinery of government to screw each other over custody issues. That's what it is. He didn't have to call the police here. He shouldn't have called the police. It's stupid that he called the police, but he did because he's trying to game the system, because he thinks it's going to somehow trigger some rule that gotcha, I win. But is it a good idea, if you're truly not in imminent harm, to call the police when you have a child in common with this person? Is that a good idea? To wrap these people up in a criminal matter when you know the ramifications, how serious that is. She's facing 6 months in jail. And she's in North Las Vegas in front of Judge Hofgren. This is not an easy court to get an acquittal in. He invoked that. Why? For what? Because what? He's saying now the child was in danger? That's a joke. It's pathetic to even say it in court. It just showed, it demonstrates his bad faith. It demonstrates exactly what he's trying to get out of this. And you shouldn't buy it. Give her primary custody, set this for trial. If he wants to make his arguments, prove his case up at trial, let it be. But right now, listen to that, it's too much.
Dad, do you have a full-time job yet, or do you have 90 applications with you today from the job search order that I gave you?
I don't have them with me today. I could provide them based on my unemployment, which I have to do, unemployment work searches weekly on that. That could be provided based on the work search record that I provide to them weekly.
My work search order that I gave you last time you were here requires that at every hearing you bring all of your work search efforts with you. Dee gave you that last time you were here, so you should have the pile of work search efforts in front of you each time you're here, unless you have a job full-time at your skill level, and then you should have a new financial disclosure form filed with wage statements attached.
I was under the impression that would be at the evidence, at the 19th. But
no, because I want you to be working as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. So are you working full-time at your skill level?
No.
And where have you been looking for a job?
Multitude of places, primarily within my, my desired field.
Can you give me some examples? The reason I have a particular work search order is so that people cannot just be general about it.
Okay. Well, primarily I was doing call center, inbound, outbound telemarketing type general work, which is what I was looking for, but I was attempting to go in at management level based on the experience that I had. It's been somewhat unsuccessful, pretty much based on interviews and some lack of contacts. So I've lowered my standards to entry level and some more wider range of jobs that have a higher, base pay for entry level.
How many interviews have you had since you were last here?
I want to say 5.
How many?
5.
Well, when you come back, I would expect to see 90 apps from when you were last here, plus however many till the next hearing, or an FDF.
Okay. I did want to speak again to the idea that...
Oh, I don't want to hear anymore. I'm not going to change my temporary order. And you can tell me if you would rather have like a weekday, or I'm going to give you a couple days and a overnight. Do you have a preference as to what days those would be?
So you're saying we're not going to go with the 1 week a month, or even the 4 days and 3 days as we had previously agreed?
Mm-mm.
Can I ask why?
Because I'm going to have it more frequent. You're going to have more frequent time.
Okay.
It's actually going to be more days.
Okay.
Do you care when it is, Mom? Do you want to speak to when his couple days are each week? Are you working? Do you have specific days off that you want to make sure you have?
Yeah. What do you
Well, I just don't know how many days a week you're referring to me having.
Are you going to be working?
I've actually started working on the 14th of August in the meanwhile, to at least be able to support my child out here. And I've actually attempted to contact him to work a schedule out with him so he can at least watch her while I'm at work, but he does not. So if he could watch her between 2 to 12, 2 in the afternoon to 12 at night while I'm working, so he at least can have time with her, and he's a sitter.
You want him to have more than 2 days? You want him to work have the time when you're working?
Yes, ma'am.
It's 2 p.m. to midnight?
Well, it's 3 p.m. to midnight, but I give me enough time to drop her off to him or meet with him, and then on my way to work.
I'd ask that would be without prejudice, Your Honor. In other words, that not prejudice her claim when she moves for primary at trial. In other words, the fact that it's an established de facto custodial arrangement not be used against her.
What time or what days are you talking about?
Currently, I'm going through the training process, so it's Monday through Friday.
And where are you working?
Sutherland, it's on Sahara and Durango. Sutherland Global Services.
And so you want to drop the baby at 2 and pick the baby up at midnight?
Well, I get off at 11:30 p.m., so by the time I meet him somewhere, it would be 12.
Or the baby's going to be sleeping.
I do that currently with my sitter.
And how's the
But
baby
they-
tolerating that?
She actually sleeps very well throughout the night still, and she wakes up early in the morning. Feed her. We have a whole schedule that we're working.
The economic situation is what it is, Your Honor. She's trying to make ends meet. He's not working. He's not supporting his kids. She's got to do what she's got to do.
Yes, Dad.
So, I want to request more than 2 days a week. If
I'm
we
sure
can move
you
back
do.
To the 4 to
I'm
3.
sure you do. Dad, I just heard about 3 people were beat up in 2017, the year we are now.
Okay, I can speak to that because that's 3 people were not beat up in 2016.
And 2016, DV versus Mom by you, June of 2016.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying the
Allegedly,
charges.
an arrest out of Compton and Palmdale in
Yeah,
California.
juvenile. I'm not denying the charges. Those were not for beating people up. They were actually because. I mean, I don't want to try to plead my case here.
I'm the criminal complaint right
but
here,
I
huh?
actually ended up slapping 2 gentlemen in that altercation, which is what they're referring to. It wasn't a fight. It was.
Here's
a
a criminal
slap
complaint.
to-
You want to see it,
to
Your
2
Honor?
people.
I'll read it. It says, to it, that said defendant did then and there willfully and unlawfully use force or violence upon the person of another, Kevin Bloodworth, which included striking him about the face with his fist and or open hand. Michael Lowell Bloodworth, which included pushing him about the chest with both hands and striking him about the face. And to Leticia Salton, which included striking her, a woman, in the face with his fist and or open hand, thereby causing her to fall to the ground. I would assume these cases are resolved by now. I'd be interested to know what the resolution of that case, what the disposition is. I don't know. He knows.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I settled with one of the charges just to avoid a potential trial.
So he admitted guilt.
I openly admit to slapping both of those men in the face 1 time each. I openly admit to that. I don't think it was an anger management issue. There was, race baiting involved, but that's no excuse. But I openly copped to my actions. No, not
Is
denying.
there a trial set for that?
No, it's over. I went to, an 8-hour class, paid my fee. But I can I just speak to
Dad,
you?
I'm not going to talk about this anymore. We're going to have a trial. We're going to have a trial. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out what to do about this, but it sounds like we have a plan. But if you get a job and you can't, do you want to watch the child between 2 p.m. and midnight, Monday through Friday?
I don't want to deny that because, of course, I don't want it to look like I don't want to have a schedule that requires me and her to do daily contact. Me and Amanda are not good with contacting each other. I would want to reduce that to the minimum possible. 1 pickup, 1 drop off per week, just to avoid any potential complications. I don't want this issue to be an issue. So, to be a daily pickup and drop off would just complicate issues more and more. More chance of somebody being 5 minutes late, which could turn into a angry statement, which could turn into an argument, a fight, and another issue with the custody battle. I know myself.
Fully agree with him, Your Honor. I think that he should have an overnight, and the exchanges should happen at Child Haven. And then with the days that she has to have a babysitter, he needs to pay for it because he's refusing it right now.
I've offered multiple times to try to pay her. The court ordered $100. She has never. Once again, I don't know her address. She's refused to meet with me or come to my property under any circumstances. I've offered to pay the $100 both for July and for August, and I would have for September. But
One overnight will work, and then he pays her.
I'm just going to give him a mediation order. Because I'm done listening to all this.
Will you sign it after looking at
Thank you.
Your Honor, in the meantime, I would propose that just leave it at that instead of sending them to mediation, because in the meantime, until they get to mediation, it's going to be chaos and it's just going to provoke another incident. Obviously, This man can barely sit still right now. It looks like he wants to jump out of his skin and start swinging right now.
I'm gonna have him.
Sir, for my client.
I'm gonna have him use shuttle mediation.
Can you order that it be immediate? In other words, like tomorrow.
I'll ask for them to do it ASAP.
Thank you.
Your Honor, my concern with that would be that we've gone through mediation and we've attempted to go through that, and she's completely disregarded what we went through mediation previously for. So, my concern would be that if we go through mediation and we come up with the custody agreement from there, then she does the same thing that she did previously with our mediation, and then I have no fallback, and I don't get to see my child until a trial date or whatever the situation may be. And I think that's just unfair. I don't see how a situation can come about that results in a situation like that. We've done mediation, and she hasn't. We had a court order, and she hasn't followed through with a single thing.
You're kind of a nightmare. Okay? I've asked you if you want 2 p.m. to midnight. Nope, you don't want that because you don't want to see Mom for exchanges. And I tried to think of how we could do that, and I can't think of another way because I don't know who else I would want to impose on at midnight. And you don't want just 2 days and a night. Honestly, Dad, you're really hard to get along with. And you don't have a lot of impulse control. So, I guess we could come up with a Donna's house exchange.
I would take the 2 days and 1 night. I just said before I said that.
What is Donna's house? When does Donna's house do supervised exchanges? That way there's nothing that can happen that can go wrong. We could do supervised exchange on Saturday and Sunday. And you don't work those days. So that's good. Did you hear me, Dad?
No, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
We're going to do supervised exchanges on Saturdays and Sundays.
I don't know what that means.
It means coming to family court on Saturday and Sunday. So the overnight's going to be Saturday.
Your Honor, I'm concerned for my client's safety. You can ask the marshal to escort him out to the front and have her wait here until he leaves. Appreciate it.
We can do that. This is ridiculous. They have pick up first and drop off second. Let's see.
Can you have her escorted out? Because I actually have business hours.
Don't talk right now. I'm having a hard enough time.
This is just
Hold on.
crazy.
Can you drop off at 10 on Saturday? Okay. And then come back and
about
pick
50-50 custody. I think that's what you primarily go for.
up at
I haven't got that type of respect from Dave.
Sunday.
I don't want to. I want a new judge. It's crazy. I sincerely doubt
What
it.
time Sunday?
I'll take another one. This is crazy. That
Between noon and 6.
voluntarily.
6 would work.
State that the court's goal is 50-50 custody. And if somebody blatantly disrespect every word you said in court, I don't care. So I don't have the option for the 2 days with the overnight anymore. That's off the table.
Yeah, you're going to have that. But I'm coming up with a place that nothing can go wrong. Because you're talking about how you and Mom can't do it,
Can't do it.
an exchange without problems.
I didn't say we can. I said that just to reduce the likeliness. Never said we can. Ridiculous.
So every weekend, it'll be Saturday at 10 to Sunday at 6. And what's the reset date?
Oh, you still on a trial date? Judge?
I need a return from mediation date.
Oh, I thought you weren't sending them to me.
No, I am going to send them to mediation and
What's the point of mediation if you're not going to follow through with it? I don't get it.
Oh, you've got it there, sorry.
I have the mediation and
Did
the...
I put a trial date? Did I put a date in there? Okay.
No,
December
there's
12th.
no date.
December 12th at 10:30.
May I withdraw at this point, Your Honor?
No, you said you're going to be on the case. I'm writing your name.
Well, I was unbundled, but
Oh, you're unbundled?
for now, I said that I would talk to her after about getting me on the case.
Yes, you can withdraw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is he doing that order for us?
I don't know if there's going to be one from today.
FMC told you.
Today's the 5th day.
It is. I'll fill those out.
I try to hurry and get as much done as I can.
Your Honor, did you get the results of the drug test? Which Amanda claimed were, a big deal, but she never followed through on getting the results of the drug test.
Did we do drug tests last time?
Yes, we did. And she never followed through to get the results, and she actually was constantly having the child around marijuana smoke, which I was smoking, but she presented the child too.
Yes, we did
But
do
just to
drug
speak to
tests.
that to the court, just to demonstrate her inconsistency, since my inconsistencies are supposed to being called into question.
Guy was positive for marijuana. In his urine, 850.
Did he just throw himself under the bus, Your Honor? Trying to
Pardon?
throw my client under the bus?
I smoke marijuana legally, sir.
What?
I'm just confused as to what the point of that was.
Pardon?
The fact that she has a supposed concern with drug use, but then she puts the child in front of drug use and made no.
But you're the
intent
drug
to find
user.
out.
You're the drug
I don't
user.
have a problem with drug use, so I'm speaking to it as if it's perfectly okay. She spoke to it as if it was a problem, and then she put the child into a situation that involved that.
That is
said drug
literally
use.
the silliest argument I've ever heard.
What is going on?
I'm saying that she requested a drug test, and then never followed through to see if there was any drug use, and she also put the child in the situation involving drug use,
Which is
multiple
him.
times, which was me. Yes. No, I'm not.
That's
I'm
not
not
the argument
denying
you just
the use
made,
of
Your Honor.
marijuana.
You're arguing negatively about yourself
No,
right
I'm
now?
not. I'm arguing.
Like a
go.
lawyer
I gotta go.
objecting to
No,
himself?
I'm telling you, I'm openly admitting to the court that I smoke marijuana.
Let me
I'm not
counsel you to
denying
just
that.
be quiet.
Did not deny it at the previous court, right? What I'm telling you is,
He's not your client, so you can't kick him
But I
out.
just wanted to say.
what I'm telling you is that Amanda willingly put the child into a situation that involved marijuana smoke. She put them into that situation, no matter who was using it. She walked into a room where there was marijuana use, was made aware that there was marijuana use, and stayed in that room multiple times.
I'd really like you to get a job so your life is more meaningful.
Why do I have to get a job to have meaning in my life? What do you like? What is that? That don't make no sense.
You have to get a job because you have an obligation to
motion for
support a
summary
child.
And I have an income, and I provide. There's no bills being turned off in my home. All utilities functioning properly. Why do I have to have a job? What if
You have
I
an
don't have a job, but I have
obligation to
income?
pay her money.
I attempted. She refused to provide me an address as you listed and stated here. Please provide address. Both parties to be provided address, names, and all. I wasn't providing it. I contacted her. I can show you my text messages with dates
Is
verifying.
there an R case?
Excuse me?
Open up a DA case.
A DA
Alex,
case.
tell her how to open up a DA case so he can't say he doesn't have a place to send him money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Once she has an R case open, you can send the money to the DA.
See, my concern now here is, I mean, that's a court order that you made at the previous court, right? But, okay, I understand you want me to follow through on that. Not a single court order that you requested of her was followed through on. I attempted to follow through on every single thing you requested me.
Dad, I'm only telling you to get a job because you are obligated to pay the support.
But why?
If she's not accepting it, I'm
If I
advising
had a trust fund and I didn't have a job, what would be why do I have to have a job?
go. The end of the hearing is here.
If I could
He needs
support
to
myself,
go.
I shouldn't need a job.
And he needs to go first.
Makes no sense.
Can you go later?
If I have an income and an ability to provide for myself, why would I need a job? That's crazy.